Hi, this is Keith Trim with Trim Photo. I'm here with
Tommy Denton.
to talk about racing. Tommy, give me some history in your racing.
Well, I've been interested in racing all my life. Remember going as a kid out in Colorado, watching the tracks out there. Moved here to Beatrice in 1980 and has been involved ever since. I got a good friend, Todd and Scott Van Lanningham, that got me into the racing here. Followed them for a while, just on pit crews and stuff. Had a couple championships on pit crews and things, and then in about 1984, 85, I decided to do it myself. Started racing out here at the Beatrice Speedway in the Bronco class, 1986. Finished second in the points. Finished fifth in the points at Fairbury that year. Did one more year in the Bronco class, changed cars. Got a fifth and a fourth place finish them years. After that, we kind of sat down and I quit for a while and then started back in when they called it the factory stock class in 1993. And was pretty successful in that and stayed in the factory stock class until about 2002 when I decided to, I got hired at the racetrack here to be an announcer by Alan Langdale, the promoter at the time in 2003. So I've been working here at the Speedway now for 15 years, here at the Beatrice Speedway. And I've been helping over at the Jefferson County Speedway for about 10 years. Here at Beatrice, I started out as an announcer. I ended up being turn 2 or turn 3 flagman for a year or two. And then after that I moved into the infield and I take care of the lineup board and I have the infield PA that I can call up the races so everybody knows when they're supposed to race. And at Fairbury I am the promoter of the Jefferson County Speedway. And basically I do the same job as I do at Beatrice by calling up the races, and I'm down at the lineup board there too.
So as promoter, what's that difference?
Just take care of the business end of it, try to get all the advertising out, go visit with drivers that haven't raced here before, try to get them to come to the races and see what if they like our track and stuff, take care of Jay Husker takes care of the payout and everything, but just kind of oversee everything on a race night. Now
I met you through the J Huskers. Give me a brief history on what they're all about. And
J Husker is a local club. They race at Fairbury, Clay Center, Kansas, and Washington, Kansas right now. They used to have Beloit and Concordia, Kansas, but those two tracks do not run anymore. It's changed over the years that I've been in it. They've got a stock class now, which they call Sportsman. We got a non-wing class, which ran with the midgets the other night at Fairbury, and then we got a wing class, and then we got 2 classes for the kids, junior sprints and restrictors.
I've heard that racing is struggling. Is that true?
It's down right now. Both tracks, I can tell you from being at Beatrice and Fairbury, the crowds are down, the car counts are down. Eagle, little different story. They're in a little more populated area. But I don't know what's going on with that for sure. It comes and goes. In all the years that I've been in the racetrack, I've seen it big crowds, I've seen hardly any crowds, no car count to a big car count. It just comes and goes.
And can you talk about the USAC race we just had?
The USAC is the United States Auto Club. They run the midgets, and we had, what was it, Saturday night, they had 25 midgets there and 27 micros, non-wing micros. It was a really good show. We've always had a good show at Fairbury. I mean, the first 2 years the place was just packed. We had a little bit better car count. There was another race at another track that kind of hurt us a little bit, but not on the micro side of it, just on the midget side of it. But that is one fast-paced show. You get those little bigger, they're quite a bit bigger than the micros. And they really get around there. And I think I seen, track record was like 11 seconds and some. I did happen to look on, and it was down in the 10-second range for the guy that had fast time Saturday night up Jefferson County Speedway.
Can you discuss the different classes of racing cars?
At Beatrice, it's IMCA sanctioned, and we have the compact class, which is the front-wheel drive cars. And then they have the hobby stock class, which is considered an entry-level class too. They look like the stock cars, only they got the narrow tires and not as much horsepower. And then you have the stock cars, which the bigger tires, It's hard to tell the difference unless you look at the tires and the body styles. Sometimes they're different, and you can tell by the sound. And then Sport Mod and Modified. Modified is the top class here at the Beatrice Speedway. And then the Sport Mods, it's really taken off since they introduced this about 10 years ago. There's a lot of Sport Mod drivers. There's just a little more restrictions in the Sport Mods than there is in the Modifieds.
I heard there's restrictions in the motors too in some of those.
Yes, they can run a crate motor and they can run an open motor.
Is there some sort of deal that they can come in and buy your motor from you?
Yes, there is an engine claim thing. I haven't seen that.
Can you explain it? Because I heard it last time, first time.
You have to finish on the lead lap of the A feature. And I'm not sure how it works on the IMCA. I haven't seen it done for so long. I've seen it done in like the hobby stocks. You have your claim card with you, and you can claim shocks, you can claim carburetor, you can claim like stuff like that also. But I haven't seen an engine claim for a long time. So, but you have your claim card, you got to have that on you, and you got to have the money in cash on you.
And what's the purpose of it?
I'm not sure on that. I couldn't tell you. I really don't.
I heard it was to keep the guys a lot of money from...
Yes, it's basically what they say it is. You know, you can come in and buy a pretty decent motor for a low amount of money. I don't even know what the claim is on them anymore.
Let's go back to USAC, because we discussed that before we rolled camera. Those guys are running some expensive cars.
Yes.
How do those guys afford that?
They basically, most of them don't own their own cars. They drive for somebody that owns the whole bunch of cars. You got Clausen Marshall Racing, Keith Coons Racing, to name the two big ones. And I think Clausen's got 3 or 4 cars. I know during the Chili Bowl he's got 5 cars. Keith Coons, I'm sure he's got 10 cars.
And a real nice semi and trailer too.
Yeah, very nice rigs.
And how much money did they win that night?
That night, I think, if I remember seeing the check, it was $5,000 to win.
Well, that may have paid for gas to get around for a week. Okay, now my big question I asked you, and I need to dig hard for this one. I want you to tell me what things that nobody knows about working in the pits, basically behind the scenes stuff. What is it you guys do that we don't see?
We're in communications with each other all the time, as everybody sees with our headsets on and stuff. We have a guy in the booth upstairs. He can actually talk to the drivers. Most people do know that. They can't talk back, thank God, but he can tell them if there's a caution or where the wreck is at, or if they're leaking fluids or something, and make sure they get off the track safely and stuff like that. Where I'm at, announcing the races down in the infield at the lineup board, I can hear the flagmans, I can hear our promoter up in the stands. And that's how pretty much we put the show on. We're just in constant communication with each other.
And your job is to make sure they're lined up right in time.
Yep. My job is to make sure they're out there outside of turn 4 or inside of turn 4 down in the infield. If they're parked there, they're ready for their race when it comes time for their race.
And you do that at both tracks, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Is there anything else that people would just love to know? How the in workings of the whole track system?
Well, I think there's people in the stands that they have radios, they can hear us talk, and they can hear the communications from the promoter to the driver, so they can hear all that stuff.
Okay, speaking of those folks in the stands, my last question, I ask this to everybody. For somebody who's never been to a race, what would you say to get them in the stands to watch those guys race?
Just come out and watch it sometime. It may not be your thing, the noise, I know that gets hard every once in a while. If you've been to Beatrice or been to Fairbury, it's a completely different noise. The cars at Beatrice have bigger motors, they run headers, and it's all blocked off. Now over at Fairbury, it's motorcycle engines, and it's wide open. You can hear it. It's just got a different pitch.
It sounds like a swarm of bees.
Yeah, it does, especially when you got 20 cars out on the racetrack all at one time. There's a lot of people put these shows on every week. It takes a lot of people. Here at Beatrice, the Gage County Fair Board, they're the ones responsible for the property. Derek Fralin is our promoter. He's the one that schedules all the shows. All of us guys in the infield, the safety guys, the tow truck guys, all of that, and we got cameramen that love to take the pictures of these guys. Over at Fairbury, you got a great group of people. I mean, it is awesome to work with these guys. Jim Kreiner, Scott Kreiner, Aaron Bales, Brendan Stiggy, Tyler Davis, Jed Vaughn. There's more that I can't name all of them, and I'm sorry I didn't, but it takes a big crew to put these races on every week. Come out and watch. Support your driver. I know you guys got favorite drivers. Support them. Come out and just watch once if you've never been there before. I'll guarantee you want to go back.